Have you ever felt that deeper understanding paradoxically breeds alienation? That expanding knowledge sometimes feels like a burden rather than liberation. This is precisely the phenomenon Schopenhauer sought to illuminate. The core paradox he unveiled was devastating in its simplicity. Intelligence amplifies our awareness, but simultaneously intensifies our sensitivity to imperfection and pain. The brighter our intellectual illumination, the darker and more pronounced the shadows of human limitation become. An intellectually sophisticated mind, according to Schopenhauer, possesses a unique capacity to penetrate societal illusions, those comforting narratives we construct to render existence bearable. Such a mind perceives the fundamental futility of endless desire, recognizes the transient nature of success, and confronts the unavoidable reality of loss. While this awareness can generate profound philosophical insights, it simultaneously risks leaving individuals feeling isolated, overwhelmed, and fundamentally disconnected from collective human experience. This perspective resonates deeply with the concept of existential dread, a philosophical terrain later explored by thinkers like Soren Kierkegaard and Jean-Paul Sartre. The more comprehensively we understand the universe and our minuscule place within its vast complexity, the more acutely we experience its fundamental indifference. This represents a psychological burden that intellectually gifted individuals bear with particular intensity. Schopenhauer provocatively argued that this heightened awareness could systematically erode our capacity to discover joy in life's simple moments. Where a less intellectually complex individual might find genuine contentment in routine experiences or seemingly shallow pursuits, a highly intelligent person often perceives the underlying hollowness, rendering such experiences fundamentally unsatisfying. Does this imply that intelligence is inherently detrimental? Not precisely. Schopenhauer acknowledged its potential while urging a nuanced understanding, recognizing intelligence as a tool, not an automatic solution to human suffering. His message was clear. Intelligence is not a guaranteed pathway to happiness, but a complex instrument demanding careful, thoughtful navigation. At this juncture, you might be wrestling with a fundamental question. If intelligence carries such profound psychological risks, should we retreat from intellectual pursuit? Should we deliberately diminish our capacity for understanding? Schopenhauer's response was remarkably pragmatic and nuanced. He didn't advocate for intellectual regression, but instead proposed a sophisticated approach to managing the psychological complexities that accompany heightened awareness. Central to his philosophy was the concept of cultivating inner tranquility, a state of profound mental equilibrium and detached observation. This tranquility wasn't about suppressing intellectual curiosity, but about developing a sophisticated relationship with one's cognitive experiences. Consider the modern epidemic of overthinking. How many sleepless nights have you spent trapped in mental labyrinths, endlessly analyzing scenarios, second-guessing decisions, and pursuing answers to fundamentally unanswerable questions? Schopenhauer would view this as the quintessential manifestation of intelligence's psychological burden, a restless intellectual machinery perpetually seeking resolution where none exists. The philosopher proposed three transformative principles for managing this internal complexity. First, acknowledge suffering as an intrinsic component of human experience. Rather than attempting to intellectually outmaneuver or resist life's challenges, we must learn to coexist with them. This doesn't mean passive acceptance, but a conscious, aware engagement that recognizes life's inherent unpredictability. Second, comprehend the inherent limitations of human understanding. No matter how sophisticated our intellectual capabilities, universal mysteries will always exist beyond our comprehension. Accepting this truth can liberate us from the exhausting pursuit of absolute certainty. Finally, Schopenhauer urged individuals to discover meaning not through grandiose intellectual achievements, but through momentary experiences of beauty and genuine connection. A breathtaking sunset, a profoundly moving musical composition, an intimate conversation with a loved one. These are the experiences that transcend intellectual analysis. His most radical proposition emerged from an unexpected philosophical intersection, the idea of transcending the self. Drawing inspiration from Eastern philosophical traditions, particularly Buddhism, Schopenhauer suggested that true liberation comes from releasing the ego, the very cognitive construct that perpetually craves understanding and control. This wasn't a recommendation for intellectual self-annihilation, but a sophisticated approach to cognitive freedom. By loosening the ego's grip, we could potentially liberate ourselves from the relentless cycle of desire and psychological suffering that intellectual awareness often amplifies. The will to live, according to Schopenhauer, represents a fundamental, irrational force driving all existence. It's an insatiable impulse, compelling every living entity to survive, reproduce, and strive, regardless of individual happiness or well-being. This will operate blindly, indifferent to personal suffering. Here emerges a critical distinction. Less intellectually complex individuals might navigate this will unconsciously, pursuing desires without questioning their deeper implications. However, highly intelligent individuals experience a profound disconnection. Their heightened awareness allows them to perceive the fundamental futility of this perpetual striving. This clarity comes with a significant psychological cost. It creates an almost existential separation between the intellectually sophisticated individual and collective human experience. How can one genuinely relate to those satisfied with superficial pursuits when one comprehends life's deeper, more complex truths? The intelligent person becomes an observer, perpetually standing slightly outside mainstream experience, a witness rather than a participant. They carry insights that most individuals never confront. Insights revealing the transient and frequently absurd nature of existence. Yet, Schopenhauer believed this very intelligence that isolates us also offers a potential pathway to transcendence. How? Through the transformative power of art and contemplative perception. Art, in Schopenhauer's framework, provides a unique escape from the will's psychological tyranny. When we engage deeply with artistic expression, whether through music, literature, or visual aesthetics, we enter a state of pure perception. In these moments, we momentarily escape the incessant demands of desire and striving. Imagine a musical composition that resonates so deeply it seems to speak directly to your innermost being, or a painting that transcends visual representation, touching something ineffable and timeless. These are the moments Schopenhauer considered glimpses of true freedom, instances where we can observe and appreciate existence without the exhausting weight of constant psychological striving. How do we translate Schopenhauer's profound philosophical insights into tangible, everyday practices? How can we transform our relationship with intelligence from a source of potential suffering to a pathway of genuine understanding and peace? The first step, according to Schopenhauer, is developing radical self-awareness. Most individuals spend their lives trapped in a cycle of unconscious desire, pursuing wealth, status, and recognition, believing these external achievements will unlock lasting happiness. Yet, the philosopher astutely observed that even upon achieving our goals, satisfaction remains fleeting. The mind quickly pivots, launching us into the next pursuit, creating an endless psychological hamster wheel. To interrupt this cycle, Schopenhauer proposed a revolutionary approach: inner reflection and conscious observation. Begin by examining your desires without judgment. Ask yourself penetrating questions. What truly motivates this particular desire? What underlying need am I attempting to satisfy? Am I pursuing this goal out of genuine necessity or societal conditioning? Often, you'll discover that your most intense pursuits are rooted in external expectations or transient impulses, not authentic personal needs. This simple act of introspection creates critical distance between your conscious self and unconscious drives. Mindful detachment becomes the key strategy. This doesn't suggest becoming emotionally indifferent, but rather learning to engage with life's experiences without being completely consumed by them. Meditation, quiet reflection, and intentional stillness can help cultivate this perspective. Imagine sitting quietly, observing your thoughts like passing clouds, present but not permanently attached. This practice creates a transformative space between your inner experiences and your core self. Over time, this approach develops a centered, calm perspective that transcends immediate emotional fluctuations. Schopenhauer also advocated for intellectual and artistic nourishment as a profound mechanism of transcendence. Engaging with powerful artistic and philosophical works isn't mere escapism. It's a pathway to connecting with deeper existential truths. When you immerse yourself in a complex musical composition or lose yourself in a philosophical text, you're experiencing a moment of genuine transcendence. These experiences allow you to step outside daily psychological constraints and touch something universal and timeless. The philosopher recognized that intelligent individuals often struggle with profound isolation. Their heightened awareness can create a sense of disconnection from others who might not share similar depths of understanding. His solution was surprisingly straightforward: cultivate compassion. By recognizing the shared human experience of struggle, we can transform potential isolation into genuine connection. This doesn't mean diminishing your intellectual standards, but using your understanding to build bridges of empathy and meaningful relationships. Consider compassion as an intellectual practice, a sophisticated tool for understanding human complexity rather than a sentimental emotion. When you view others not as competitors or obstacles, but as fellow travelers navigating life's intricate challenges, your perspective fundamentally shifts. Schopenhauer's most controversial concept emerged through the principle of renunciation, not as withdrawal, but as a nuanced approach to engagement. The ego, with its constant need for validation and control, generates significant psychological suffering. By loosening its grip, we discover a deeper sense of peace. Renunciation doesn't mean passive acceptance or complete disengagement. Instead, it's about approaching life with humility and detachment. Rather than desperately clinging to desired outcomes or resisting inevitable changes, we learn to accept experiences as they naturally unfold. This acceptance represents the highest form of wisdom, a profound freedom achieved not through controlling external circumstances, but by transforming our internal relationship with those circumstances. Reflect for a moment. How much mental energy do you currently invest in worrying about potential futures or ruminating on past experiences? What would emerge if you redirected that energy toward present moment awareness and compassionate engagement? Schopenhauer's philosophy, often misunderstood as pessimistic, is ultimately deeply empowering. By courageously confronting life's challenging truths and embracing them with clarity, we can discover an authentic form of happiness, one not dependent on external achievements or fleeting pleasures. It's a happiness rooted in understanding, acceptance, and a profound inner tranquility. True intelligence, Schopenhauer argued, is fundamentally about wisdom, a nuanced understanding of existence that embraces life's inherent complexity rather than attempting to simplify or control it. This perspective demands a radical reimagining of our relationship with knowledge. Intelligence becomes not a weapon to conquer life's challenges, but a subtle instrument for deep comprehension and inner peace. Let's explore 5 fundamental principles that Schopenhauer believed could transform our approach to intelligence and human experience. Embracing life's fundamental duality. Existence, according to Schopenhauer, is a delicate dance of opposing forces: joy and suffering, light and shadow, creation and destruction. Wisdom emerges not from eliminating these contradictions, but from learning to navigate them with grace and equanimity. This doesn't suggest passive resignation. Instead, it represents an active engagement with life's complexity. When you stop expecting perpetual happiness and start accepting life's natural rhythms, you liberate yourself from unnecessary psychological suffering. Every moment of joy carries the potential for loss, and every experience of sorrow holds the seed of personal growth. By accepting this fundamental truth, you develop a more resilient and authentic approach to living, the sophisticated art of detachment. Detachment, in Schopenhauer's philosophy, is not emotional coldness or indifference. It's a refined skill of engaging with life's experiences without allowing them to completely define or consume you. Imagine holding a delicate butterfly. Grip it too tightly, and you'll crush its essence. Hold it too loosely, and it escapes. The art lies in finding the perfect balance of engagement and release. This principle applies to relationships, ambitions, and personal identities. You learn to appreciate and participate in life's experiences without becoming entirely trapped by them. Pursuing transcendent meaning. For Schopenhauer, art, philosophy, and deep reflection were not mere intellectual exercises. They represented crucial tools for navigating life's inherent challenges and connecting with something greater than individual experience. When you immerse yourself in a profound musical composition, lose yourself in philosophical contemplation, or engage in deep meditation, you're not escaping reality. You're expanding your understanding, touching universal experiences that transcend personal limitations. These moments of transcendence allow you to step outside the narrow constraints of individual consciousness and connect with broader, more profound dimensions of existence. Compassion as a transformative intellectual practice. Compassion, in Schopenhauer's framework, is not a sentimental emotion, but a sophisticated intellectual and emotional practice. By recognizing the shared human experience of struggle, we transform potential isolation into genuine connection. This approach requires seeing beyond individual differences, acknowledging the universal challenges that unite human experiences. When you view others not as competitors or obstacles, but as fellow travelers navigating complex existential terrain, your perspective fundamentally shifts. Compassion becomes an intellectual bridge, connecting different perspectives and expanding collective understanding. Quieting the relentless mental machinery. The ultimate goal is not to eliminate intellectual capacity, but to develop a more balanced relationship with our mental processes. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, and intentional reflection can help quiet the constant mental chatter. Imagine sitting beside a tranquil lake, observing your thoughts without judgment, present, but not entirely consumed. In such moments, mental turbulence settles, offering a glimpse of profound inner peace. This is not about suppressing intelligence, but about developing a more sophisticated, nuanced engagement with our cognitive experiences. Schopenhauer's philosophical insight offers a revolutionary perspective. Intelligence is neither a pure blessing nor an absolute curse. It's a complex tool that, when navigated with wisdom, can become a pathway to deeper understanding, compassion, and inner tranquility. The choice remains ours: Will we allow intelligence to be a source of perpetual struggle, or will we transform it into an instrument of personal and collective liberation? As you reflect on these principles, consider how you might reimagine your relationship with your own intellectual capacity. How can you move beyond viewing intelligence as a competitive advantage and instead see it as a profound opportunity for personal and collective growth? Intelligence is neither a simple gift nor an unmitigated burden. It is a complex, nuanced instrument of human experience, capable of both illuminating and obscuring, connecting and isolating, liberating and constraining. The ultimate wisdom lies not in how much we know, but in how we choose to engage with our knowledge. Consider the fundamental paradox at the heart of human consciousness. Our capacity for understanding simultaneously empowers and challenges us. Intelligence offers a window into life's deeper mysteries, yet it can also create a sense of existential isolation. The more we comprehend, the more we recognize the limitations of our understanding. But herein lies the transformative potential. Schopenhauer's philosophy invites us to embrace a radical form of intellectual humility. True wisdom emerges not from accumulating knowledge, but from developing a profound acceptance of life's inherent complexity. It's about cultivating a state of mind that can simultaneously hold multiple truths, acknowledging life's suffering while remaining open to its beauty, recognizing our limitations while celebrating our potential for growth. This approach demands a fundamental reimagining of our relationship with intelligence. No longer a tool for conquest or control, intelligence becomes an instrument of compassionate understanding. It transforms from a weapon we wield against life's uncertainties to a lens through which we can perceive deeper connections. Schopenhauer's ultimate message is both a challenge and an invitation. Intelligence is not a destination, but a journey, a continuous process of growth, understanding, and self-discovery. Your intellectual capacity is not a fixed trait to be weaponized or a burden to be endured. It is a dynamic, evolving dimension of human experience, a profound gift that, when approached with wisdom, can illuminate the most complex landscapes of existence. The choice is yours. Will you view intelligence as a constraint, or will you embrace it as a pathway to deeper, more meaningful living? In the end, true wisdom lies not in the accumulation of knowledge, but in the courage to live with compassion, curiosity, and an open heart.